Talking CRM with Jeff and David, getting the best value for the whole organization from your integrated CRM and accounting systems. David Beard, CRM Principal, and Jeff Richards, Head of Training Program Development for Sage CRM, spend time chatting with customers, resellers, and others about Sage CRM in action around the globe.
In this episode, Dennis talks about the operating model of long-term care in the province, how the CRM systems help them track and report on a range of metrics for the government, and gives us his musings on the future of CRM for long-term healthcare in and around Toronto. Tell me about reporting in that sort of industry, because that is often drives down to the CRM build level what you need to capture. The reporting needs, do they differ by these not profit, or are they much the same? Is it care cost per individual, care cost per service? How does it work?
Well, the reporting is very similar because, first off, you have reporting to the government, the province, or whoever is funding you, and all homes do that same level of reporting. So there's that aspect. Most of these organizations are audited, so there's that same thing, trying to create financial statements across the sector. And in a lot of ways, the reporting is very similar because, as you say, the metrics are the same. Whether you're a large corporation like Extended Care or like Belmont House, you're still doing that same level of reporting. And in fact, you should be doing that same level of reporting. The numbers are bigger over here in Extended Care, but you're still trying to do that same reporting. You're still trying to ensure your resources are being used. You're still trying to ensure that you know what your assets are and where they are and what your investments are. Because the government likes to give you little pots of money that you then have to spend or you have to give it back. So you're trying to track all these little pots because they want you now to report against all those little pots. And then they do other things like, we want everybody to move to 4 hours of care, and we're going to give you money for that. Well, most homes are at different levels of care, somewhere between the provincial average of 2.85 and 3.5. And so as they give you this money, you then have to spend it on this increased care. But some of them are already ahead there. So it's finding ways to tell the story, in a sense, to the province that you are spending their money on this care. And then at the same time, they're saying, okay, but you have to report this to us quarterly. We want you to give us payroll information, head counts, dollars spent. There's all this statistical type of information that you need to capture.
And that's a strength too that CRM or a joined up CRM and back office can give you, which you can't just get from accounting, right?
Right. And that's one of the things our board wants to know too, is the services that we're offering, which is not easy to get out of point-click care. It never was, but it's very easy to get out of CRM, is to find out how many people are getting physio 2 times a week, how many people have physio 3 times a week, who's on meal plan. And it's very easy to run those reports and get those statistics to give to the board or to the CEO so that she knows what the care levels are and things like that.
What Dennis have done with his experience now with Belmont is knowing how the process, the services, the daily tasks that different departments are in charge for. Dennis was able to put together a list or comparison list on the tasks that point-to-click will continue be used for, and a list of tasks that CRM will do. So that one was distinguished for them internally at Belmont, and we can present it even to other long-term care to say, you still will be using point-to-click. We are not telling you that to get rid of point-to-click because it has a lot of functionalities of the medical history, day-to-day activity of that, or information tracking that will be still used for, but rather than using other module of point-to-click care, which it is not perfect to solve the big issue. So now we are shifting to Sage CRM and the ERP solution, regardless if the Sage 300 or Sage Intact, but how Sage CRM will be the front end for the resident information.
So that's a useful idea, because painting the picture of why systems exist and how they complement each other is an important part of that change and go forward story.
Yeah, and one of the things too about CRM is that one of the things in the industry is privacy. You shouldn't be accessing information you don't need to do your job, right? Because you have a lot of personal information about your residents. The good thing is that in CRM you can control that quite easily. Who has access to what? So one of the simple things we did, because we have two departments. We have long-term care and we have retirement living. We actually use the territory to split them. Now the retirement people only see the ones who are assigned to them. So simple things like that allow us to very simply do that. Where in point-click care, there are actually two separate databases. And then you've got to go in and try and set this, who gets access to what, who gets access to this set of fields. It's much more complex, much more difficult to control that aspect about who should have access to what.
So again, more benefits, system benefits in that case, but they obviously deployed become clear to the end users, and it's much easier for them. Talk to me about futures. So Dennis, you're still helping Belmont, as we said earlier. Zainab has asked you to join them to be your domain expert for the area. What's the future look like for healthcare and BAASS or long-term care in Toronto and the field, further afield?
Well,
where are you going?
It's probably the only growing field there is anymore. Mostly because we are getting older.
Yes, that's right.
And a lot of there's a lot of pressure within the industry to build additional beds and to add new homes. As these organizations grow, they need better ways to track their information. It's a complex field to start with, and it's just getting more and more complex with more and more government reporting required. And COVID has had a lot to do with that increase because of issues within the system. And so it's continuing to look at how the Sage products offer an integrated solution to the industry. I'm working with one home right now with BAASS and a long-term care home who also has retirement living to create an integrated system for them using Intact and CRM. To provide them what they need because they're tired of doing things the manual way. I take this information out, somebody's got to key a journal entry, somebody's got to check the journal entry, somebody's got to run around the building with this invoice because it needs to be signed right now, and we need to write a check right now. And so it's taking all of that and saying, look, we can do all of this pushing of paper for you. We can give you nice, easy screens that you can very quickly update for the information you need. And at the same time, we can provide you any format you want. So it's really beginning to look at those workflows as to how we can, in a sense, build a canned system that can go into a long-term care home with minor modifications to suit their style and give them very quickly results so that they can very easily see the rewards of going to this new system.
Yeah. And particularly in a business that does have, in a lot of cases, a long customer life cycle. That's a better way of describing it. And multiple stakeholders involved in wanting that to be a good customer life cycle. Yeah. Looking after the processes, every step, every piece of data makes the difference.
Yeah. Simple things like we have to send out a monthly statement. Well, it's getting now expensive to do that by post. CRM allows us to say, how do you want your statement? Do you want us to email it to you? Do you want us to email it to your mother and yourself because she still thinks she's in control, but really you are? And so we can do those types of things within the system to give them that access. Plus, they get their statements faster. It's easier on the staff because they don't have to print 90% of them. They can just click the button and let them go.
It's a good story, isn't it? And often what I do like about this too is sometimes it's the simplest things in the core itself that are very easy to set up that make such a difference.
Yep.
It's just thinking about how creatively to put them to use.
Right.
Based on what we do at BAASS, doing very complicated, like advanced development with the CRM platform, this solution in reality, it doesn't have a lot of like very deep development or coding. We are trying with Dennis's help to kind of use or reuse the existing functionalities of CRM, translated for their language on what they need for in their day-to-day activities.
Yeah,
and
so
that
coming
is
up
the
with a
beauty
templated
of
system.
This one. Exactly.
Exactly. That can work, and that's good for you as people who sell the system because you can make it as efficiently priced as possible, and it's great for the buyer as well because this is the best in class, for want of a better expression, based on domain knowledge, and you don't have to pay for it to be developed every time. It's 90% there, right?
All right. And that is our goal with Dennis to work on this one, is to make it kind of like, I can't say cookie cutter, but it is close to that cookie cutter, maybe to add few recipes to the dough. Oh, look at that.
And that's a great strength of CRM as well. You can roll that out It fits
Exactly.
most of what people need, but if you want some tweaks, extra
Yeah.
bits on the cookie, that's okay.
Yeah.
The one thing we would like to see would be a way within the master system to replace the word company with resident or tenant.
I have a solution for you.
There you go. That's a fantastic insight. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Zainab, for your thoughts about the long-term care industry in Canada. And I wish you both very well on the journey with the product.
You've been listening to Talking CRM with Jeff and David, getting the best for the whole organization from your integrated CRM and accounting systems.